When journalists took it and made it serious, I thought it was a little bit unfair. Having said that, though, Donald Trump would come on my show, and this is why he was great. Most people, if they're having that thought, keep that pretty guarded. Not Donald. He was right into it. There was no filter. I go, Donald, Angelina Jolie, she's one of the most beautiful actresses in the world. She's a 6, you know.
Howard Stern didn't wake up thinking, hey, let's ruin Donald's week. But that's exactly what happened when his old chats with Trump got dragged out. Raw and uncensored, right on live TV. No spin, no edits, just Trump bragging and blurting out stuff you probably wish you could unhear. So what did he say? Oh, just casual talk about women like they're trophies. Power plays like he's a cartoon villain, and a sprinkle of awkward confessions about his marriage. And guess what? Melania? She's vanished faster than his old hairline. Howard just did what he always does. He hit play. But now the whole circus is awake. Trump's words then, meeting Trump's mess now. It's like throwing gasoline on a dumpster fire.
Donald Trump, hands down, whenever you put him on the air, now this is before he was running for president, he was an open book.
We have to talk about Donald Trump. He's a big character in the book because
he was a big character on my show.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You say one of your best guests ever.
For Howard Stern, Trump wasn't just a guest. He was the ratings. Loud, braggy, and a goldmine for shock value. No spin doctors, no PR teams. Just Trump running his mouth while Howard hit record. People laughed back then. Now? They're replaying every word with their jaws on the floor. Funny how the stuff nobody cared about then is the stuff blowing up now.
Daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I go out with somebody, and she's like 21, and she's talking about, what are you doing? And she's studying algebra. And
So what?
And it's like, it was always embarrassing for me to walk in. It's too young. 30's like a perfect age.
Absolutely. She has enough life
Until
experience.
she's 35.
Too much life experience.
What is it at 35, Howard? It's called checkout time.
Here's where the circus turns dark. Trump showed up on Stern's show over and over, tossing out lines that were once just shocking jokes for late-night laughs. But now, those same clips hit different. He rated women like they were cattle, bragged about sneaking backstage at pageants, and when talk turned creepy about his own daughter, he just smirked along. What once got cheap laughs now runs on repeat, right when he least needs it. And this time it's not reporters asking about it. It's the empty seat next to him.
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything
a
is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women.
One line keeps popping up. Trump once bragged that dating around was his own Vietnam. Stern called it a dumb joke. Back then, nobody flinched. That line was just one in a pile of crude chats. Again and again, Trump rated women like trophies, bragged about hookups, and laughed at things most people wouldn't say out loud, even drunk. What was trashy fun then? Now, it's blowing up in his face.
But really, it was in a very joking scenario. He was not comparing his life. It was ha 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 and this and that.
For years, people shrugged it off, just Trump being Trump. Now those old lines are back, blasting through news feeds, rallies, and his own front door. For Melania, queen of silent elegance, this rerun isn't just awkward. It's pulling back curtains she never opened. If all that was just the warm-up, imagine the fallout when this old footage hits primetime. Headlines at his rallies, cold shoulders at home, and Melania nowhere in sight. Stick around. Howard's next bomb might just explain why Mar-a-Lago feels chillier than ever.
The Donald Trump stuff is just amazing. I mean, throughout the book, it'll say, and now a word from our president.
Well, Jimmy, I never would have imagined that when Trump actually started to win, I never would have imagined that I'd see newscasters quoting my show like it was the Bible. It was just so weird. This is because I had all this wealth of material with Donald Trump, who, by the way, was the best radio guest ever because he would just say things that no one on the planet would say.
And he's still
saying
that.
it. Yeah. And so the book.
Jimmy called it genius. Howard called it nuts. Now it's everywhere. Old late-night shock clips turned into morning headlines. Reporters quoting Stern like he's breaking news. Trump? Still wired up, still bragging. Only now the audience isn't frat bros. It's his wife, his haters, and probably his lawyers. These weren't private jokes. They were live, raw, on tape. and now they're on repeat. Somewhere between the laughs and replays, that glossy power couple image started to crack. Melania didn't say a word. She didn't need to. When the First Lady ghosts the photo op, you don't need her press team. You need to ask, what did she hear that made her vanish?
But don't tell her off, or she might reveal her true feelings. At least Melania stands fully behind Donald Trump's message.
Well, I don't always agree what he tweets.
Okay, well, most of the time. But she's definitely useful to have around when you forget things, like raising your hand for the national anthem.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is why Donald and Melania sleep in separate bedrooms. She was laughing too hard at my monologue at night.
She hasn't said a word, no statement, no teary interview, but you don't need a press release to see it. Melania is keeping her distance, and not just in spirit. The gap between her and Donald is wide enough for the cameras to zoom in and the tabloids to drool over. Late-night hosts seated up. Jimmy quipped they sleep apart because she's too busy laughing at his jokes. Funny, sure, but the silence after, not so funny. While Trump battles headlines and hecklers, the one person who used to stand by his side isn't even in the frame.
It's a weird relationship I have with Donald. Was at my wedding. I remember having very warm feelings for Donald. That's why I couldn't even believe that Donald really even wanted this all to work out for him.
Howard tried to play it straight. Donald was at my wedding, he shrugged. I liked him, but even I thought that marriage was off. The smiles looked real enough, but the tension never hid well. Even back then, no campaign, no scandals, no cold shoulder. Trump didn't act like a man betting on forever. And when a guy who's built his career reading people calls it fishy, you have to ask who's still pretending and who gave up the act a long time ago.
Look at the way these two lovebirds interact with each other. Their chemistry, it's positively smoldering.
Please welcome our next Commander-in-Chief, my husband, President Donald J. Trump.
Defend her still today,
To me, there's nothing more beautiful than watching a man and his wife try not to smudge each other's bronzing cream, you know?
Melania hasn't said a word, but maybe that is the message. What do you think her silence really means? Drop it in the comments. And like clockwork, Trump did what he always does when the heat's too much. He doesn't pause, he punches back. Up next, his classic clapback, Melania's quiet revolt, and the question no one wants to say out loud. How long can this circus really last? No rumors here, just the clips, the awkward glances, and what they tell us without saying a thing.
Like Howard, I was on Howard Stern's show as much as anybody, and he was great at that time, and then he went woke.
Yeah.
And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes, and he sort of went anti-Trump for a couple of reasons.
And there it is. When it gets messy, Trump goes on autopilot. Blame the woke, mock the ratings, call everyone a traitor. Now even Howard's just another backstabber on his list. But while Trump yells louder than ever, Melania, she's gone dead silent. And that silence is starting to say more than he ever could.
The opposite of woke to me is asleep, and I think I'm awake. This must have gotten Trump all charged up, because at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, technically Sunday morning, he starts tweeting out, Howard Stern is a broken loser, jerk off, not loyal, you know, the usual, tirade. And I thought to myself, I'll tell you my thought on it was, what? Imagine you got to be the 45th president of the United States.
Of course, Howard fought back, but he didn't just fire insult. He hit Trump with pure disbelief. You were the 45th president, he said. And this is what keeps you awake? It wasn't a burn. It was a mirror. A sign that the man who once ruled the world is now stuck chasing scraps. Meanwhile, the people close to him, they're stepping away, including the one who used to stand quietly right beside him.
You know, his level of narcissism is so strong. He has trouble with empathy. We know that. And I wish he'd go into psychotherapy. I'd be so proud of him if he did. He would probably flourish.
But he never has. I mean, he never would.
There's no way. I do not believe he's ever done psychotherapy. And I think that's what happened.
Do you think he likes being president?
I don't think he likes being president at all. I think he liked winning the presidency. He likes to win. And again, I'm not Donald Trump's psychologist, and I had many good laughs with Donald. And in some ways, I feel it has been wrong the way they use my transcripts in a way to frame him. And I'll give you an example.
And just like that, the last thread snaps. The guy who once called into Howard's show with swagger now ghosts him over a phone call gone sideways. No argument, no drama, just cold silence. It's a perfect ending to a show built on flash and fading fast when loyalty hits a wall. Trump's version of loyalty? It expires the second someone says no. That's the real story here. Not just politics, not just a marriage, but a man who demands applause and vanishes when it stops. From locker room talk to late night quiet, what started as entertainment has peeled back to something raw. Trump's decades of bragging, mocking, and dodging blame didn't just stir controversy. They cracked the mask of his perfect marriage. Melania's quiet distance, the icy looks, the separate lives, not just tabloid gossip, signs of deep cracks no one can ignore, a pattern Trump wore proudly until the very show that made him famous started echoing his fall apart. In the end, this isn't about picking sides, it's about seeing clearly the cost of ego, the weight of silence, and what happens when the act finally ends and the truth walks in. Ask ChatGPT.